Estamos al pie del gran coloso del día, Montevergine di Mercogliano, donde está ubicada la pancarta de meta. Aproximadamente 18 kilómetros de ascensión y ni Eversol ni Machanti tiran la toalla. No se rinden ni el uno ni el otro. Me estaba comentando Guti hace un instante, bueno, que la presencia de Machanti, el corredor del equipo Panaria, en punta de carrera, puede obedecer alguna táctica de equipo, pensando en que después alguno de sus jefes de filas pueda intentar el salto, bien sea Figueras, que es sexto en la general, a 45 segundos de Simoni, o el mexicano Pérez Cuapio.
Sí, para los líderes siempre es bueno tener corredores de avanzadilla por delante, que en un momento dado, a mitad de subida les pueden hacer pues un kilómetro de subida o una ayuda. Entonces la insistencia quizá de este hombre de seguir en la escapada, una vez que los otros cuatro se han ido quedando en la subida a Monteforte Irpino, pero la insistencia de Machanti precisamente yo creo que es una cuestión no personal del que vaya por la etapa, sino de poder servir de ayuda en unos kilómetros más adelante para sus líderes.
Estos son los de Garcelli, ¿no?
Estos son los de Garcelli, que bueno, a ver si se le ve hoy con ganas. El puerto, si Garcelli está bien, es un puerto que le viene de maravilla, porque es un hombre que sube bien, que es un hombre para subida de fuerza que va bien, y además si se llega en un grupito es bastante rápido.
Pues las intenciones de Stefano Garcelli son claras y contundentes. Ha colocado prácticamente a todo su equipo a tirar a bloque en la cabeza del pelotón, más que para neutralizar lo que marcha por delante, que no creo que le preocupe excesivamente a Garcelli, para intentar ir preparando el terreno. La formación al copo del Vini Caldirola, con el propio Stefano Garcelli, el ruso Pavel Tonkov, el suizo Stig Zampieri y los italianos Dario Andriotto, Mauro Gerosa, Simone Masciarelli, Oscar Masson, Gianluca Sironi y Marco Zanotti, que son los integrantes de esta formación italiana que lidera el corredor Stefano Garcelli. Estaba pensando también en Pavel Tonkov, al que incluso han dado como favorito por parte de algunos medios. Yo creo que Tonkov ya no está para demasiados trotes, pero evidentemente sí para echar una mano a Garcelli con su experiencia, con su saber estar, etcétera, etcétera.
Sí, hombre, yo para ganar el Giro no creo que esté, pero bueno, el que retuvo, y Tonkov tiene una enorme clase, y el año pasado que corría en el equipo polaco, en el Polsat, yo estaba en aquel Giro y no lo estaba haciendo mal, se tuvo que retirar con un problema de la espalda, me parece que era, unos dolores que tenía enormes durante toda la temporada, pero estaba clasificado entre los 10 primeros, o sea que bueno, es un veterano que tiene todavía mecha, y a Garcelli le va a venir de maravilla un hombre como él para ayudarle sobre todo en las subidas.
Estamos todavía en pleno descenso, el pelotón que va a atravesar bajo la pancarta de los 20 últimos kilómetros hasta la línea de meta, con todo el equipo Vini Caldirola ocupando las primeras unidades de ese todavía numerosísimo grupo, la cola del pelotón, con los hombres que habían quedado ligeramente rezagados en la anterior ascensión y que poco a poco van retomando su ubicación en la cola del grupo. Vamos a ver la situación también de la malla rosa, muy pendiente de lo que puede hacer Stefano Garcelli, que en principio es su principal adversario, su principal enemigo, y lógicamente la rueda a vigilar por parte de Simoni no es otra que la de Stefano Garcelli. La moto enlace facilita en su pizarra una nueva referencia a los escapados, minuto y 35 segundos. No se rinden ni Eversol ni Machanti. Ahora entra el relevo, el corredor del equipo Fonak le toma rápidamente la rueda Machanti al paso por la localidad de Mercogliano. Estamos en el kilómetro 195 de carrera, lo que significa que para los dos escapados nos encontramos a poco más de 15 kilómetros de la conclusión de la etapa. Ya sabemos una cosa, el libro de ruta decía que 18 kilómetros de subida, 18 kilómetros de subida ya es seguro que no son, ya son menos. Eso menos porque no están subiendo y están a punto de llegar a la pancarta de 15 kilómetros para la línea de meta, justo cuando transitan por el centro de la localidad de Mercogliano, a la salida de la cual se encuentra ya la subida al santuario de Montevergine, la Virgen del Monte, que aguarda majestuosa en esa magnífica, preciosa e impresionante montaña, la llegada de la caravana rosa del Giro de Italia 2004, que seguimos retransmitiendo en directo en esta séptima etapa. El corredor del Lampre, que marchaba por delante, que ya se para, mira hacia atrás, espera, aguarda ya con paciencia la llegada del resto de los integrantes del pelotón, y vamos a ver si esto se mueve. Presumiblemente yo casi que descartaría un ataque de largo, un ataque de fondo, un ataque en los primeros kilómetros de subida. Yo creo que al menos los que se juegan la clasificación general van a esperar todo lo que puedan. Ahí están sorteando esa isleta central los dos escapados, tanto Abersol como Mazzanti. En un instante va a transitar por ahí el pelotón, pero decíamos que yo creo que los grandes favoritos no se van a mover hasta los últimos kilómetros. Sí se mueven, se mueven y lógicamente deben de moverse.
Yo creo que lo lógico es que se vaya haciendo pues una selección natural en la subida, se vaya haciendo una grupeta. Y en el caso de que haya ataques lejanos, quizás sea más bien de segundos espadas, ¿no? Que a lo mejor pues el Panaria, en lugar de Figueras, lance a Pérez Cuapio, que el Saeco, en lugar de Simoni o Cunego, pues pueda atacar, no sé, Mazzoleni o alguien así. Unos segundos espadas para ir un poco desgastando, ¿no? Desgastando el grupo.
Ahí veíamos la imagen de Bertoiati, el corredor del Chamonix Duval, que ha estado escapado durante bastantes kilómetros. Los que fueron sus compañeros todavía siguen arriba. Se acerca el coche auxiliar del equipo Panaria para dar un bidón a Mazzanti. Muchísimo público en las proximidades de las faldas de Montevergine. En un instante va a comenzar la ascensión y me imagino que también va a ser un auténtico rosario de seguidores los que van a acompañar la subida a los grandes protagonistas del día, a los 164 supervivientes de la carrera, después de conocerse en la mañana de hoy el abandono o la no partida, para ser más exactos, de Mario Cipollini, que definitivamente ha puesto pie a tierra. Parece que comienza a dar sus frutos el trabajo que por atrás viene haciendo Vini Caldirola, el equipo de Garcelli. Han reducido todavía más la diferencia en este momento, 1 minuto y 15 segundos, una renta a todas luces insuficiente para afrontar con garantías la subida, sobre todo si no eres Pantani, evidentemente. Abersol y Mazzanti no son evidentemente ninguno grandes escaladores, ni tan siquiera medianamente buenos escaladores, pero están haciendo su trabajo. Supongo que Abersol en su función de seguir dejándose ver, y Mazzanti preparando alguna estrategia de equipo que pueda estar elaborando el conjunto Panaria, a la espera de que su líder Juliano Figueras pueda responder, o que uno de sus mejores escaladores, un hombre que se desenvuelve como pez en el agua en las montañas, Pérez Cuapio, el mexicano, pueda proporcionar la primera alegría a este equipo. Ahí estamos viendo la imagen que domina desde el alto de Montevergine, y de nuevo los dos hombres que son cabeza de carrera, Abersol y Mazzanti. Por detrás siguen produciéndose algunos intentos por intentar llegar, por intentar hacer conexión con la cabeza desde el pelotón. Es Renzo Mazzoleni, el corredor del Tenas, el que estamos viendo en imagen. Mazzoleni, que ha estado muy bullicioso en esta primera semana de carrera, mirando hacia atrás y viendo la respuesta del pelotón. El pelotón que responde. No parece que el ataque de Mazzoleni haya sido demasiado profundo, y me imagino que en un instante va a ser de nuevo presa de la voracidad de un pelotón que ya no va a perdonar ni una, aunque, como es el caso, no se trate de una seria amenaza para los intereses de los primeros clasificados en esa general rosa que comanda Filippo Simoni. Abersol y Mazzanti en situación de puente. Este hombre que vemos ahí, Renzo Mazzoleni, que sigue mirando insistentemente de forma pertinaz hacia atrás, y ese pelotón que no perdona y que está recibiendo ahora también información de lo que acontece por delante. Apenas 1 minuto y me imagino que vamos a tener carrera nueva dentro de 3 o 4 kilómetros. Tendremos una carrera nueva. Es que realmente la etapa empieza ahora, ¿eh?
Sí, bueno, y ahí en cabeza de pelotón pues veo que ahora pasan los hombres del pasaborto, supongo aquí en este caso es para Dario Cioni. El trabajo en la cabeza del pelotón se lo han ido repartiendo, ¿no? Un equipo que no ha sido el equipo del líder. Hemos visto por momentos al Panaria, hemos visto por momentos al Vini Caldirola, estamos viendo al Fasa Bortolo. Se van ahí turnando, se ve que no sé, están como, bueno, vamos todos juntitos hasta Tapé de Puerto, y a partir de aquí pues ya será otra historia muy distinta.
Empieza a picar ya ligeramente la carretera hacia arriba, apenas 16 kilómetros para la conclusión. Las constantes y continuas referencias al ídolo nacional Marco Pantani, allá donde hay un hueco, allá que se encuentran con una leyenda para el mito Pantani. Y bueno, ahí vamos, un repartidor de cascos que se llama Daniele Riggi, el corredor italiano del equipo Lampre, que lleva, además del que lleva puesto, 1, 2, 3 y 4 me parece que llevaba para repartir, no para repartir al público, sino a sus compañeros. Ya estamos viendo cómo la carretera se empieza a endurecer muy ligeramente. Y ese es el homenaje del equipo de fútbol de la localidad, el Calcio Club Hermes, a Marco Pantani. Menos de un minuto, hemos rebajado la diferencia psicológica del minuto, apenas 58 segundos, y me imagino que a partir de ahora van a ir saliendo darditos, van a ir saliendo flechas del pelotón, los segundos espadas, puede que los terceros espadas, como es el caso de lo que estamos viendo. Raffaele Iliano, el corredor del Giro de Italia, otro hombre muy combativo, ahí está, avanzado unos metros con respecto al pelotón. No es este un equipo que tenga grandes nombres, pero sí hay tres colombianos: Freddy González, Marlon Pérez y Alberio Marín. Es decir que, y allá donde hay un colombiano, siempre existe la sospecha de que en la montaña se van a mover.
Sí, no, y Freddy González ha luchado ya, y creo que ha ganado una vez el premio de la montaña, que es uno de los premios para el que aspira siempre el Giro de Italia. Y la imagen que veíamos antes de este hombre con los cascos es cuando empieza la última subida. El reglamento de la UCI ya permite quitarse el casco, que como estamos viendo a Iliano. Y las primeras veces, que esto se empezó a implantar el año pasado, las primeras veces pues se tiraban los cascos al suelo, con lo cual los aficionados que había por allí pues inflaban a cascos, ¿no? Entonces ahora se ve que hacen como la función de aguador, pues siempre tienen a uno que es el que le recoge a los cascos a los compañeros.
Porque hay un momento en el que los responsables del equipo han dicho, oye, que
pasa que no da el presupuesto,
que no ganamos para cascos.
Sí, pero el año pasado yo recuerdo que aquello era bastante gracioso, según el sonido de los cascos.
Mira qué imagen más curiosa. Lógicamente Alessandro Petacchi, que es incapaz de subirse ni a una banqueta, pues en cuanto ve que la carretera se empina, es como cuando... Pues eso, es como cuando el príncipe Alberto de Mónaco ve a una mujer, pues exactamente igual. Y se han quedado todos los compañeros con él, porque es su obligación y porque además este equipo no tiene más objetivos en esta carrera que, fíjate cómo aparecen ahora los auxiliares a recoger los cascos, ¿no? Es que el casco está cotizado, pero...
Sí, el año pasado te digo que los primeros días aquello era... La gente se ponía ya a pie de puerto, y bueno, pues nada, pues iban haciendo la recolecta con el material, pero nada. Ahora
yo no sé cuánto vale un casco. ¿Tú sabes cuánto vale un casco?
Pues no tengo ni idea, la verdad.
Pero vamos, debe valer lo suyo. Sí. O la crisis es ya... Ese es Mariano Piccoli, ¿no?
Sí, señor.
Sí, efectivamente, Mariano Piccoli, el veteranísimo y bravísimo corredor que este año está en el equipo Lampre. Fíjate, Aversol ya sin casco, con el rostro claramente marcado ya por el cansancio, apretando los dientes en ese esfuerzo titánico por mantenerse arriba. El corredor del Panaria, que incluso yo creo que va hablando con él, como diciendo: no me ahogues, no me ahogues. Está esperando lógicamente instrucciones, supongo, Machanti, de lo que tiene que hacer. Y vamos a ver si definitivamente se produce el ataque por detrás de alguno de sus compañeros. Ahí estamos viendo empezar a moverse a Juliano Figueras con ese dorsal 31. Ya son todos los grandes los que empiezan a buscar alguna posición en la punta del pelotón que les permita estar atentos a cualquier contingencia. Por detrás sigue Iliano haciendo situación de puente entre Aversol y Machanti y la cabeza del pelotón. Todavía no hemos entrado en ninguna de las duras rampas que presumiblemente nos aguardan por delante. Y conectado al pinganillo, también esperando instrucciones, Raffaele Iliano. Ahí estamos viendo a la malla rosa escalando por el interior, buscando las primeras unidades, con sus compañeros de equipo, los hombres del equipo Saeco. Y me imagino que hoy, yo no sé si va a pasar al ataque, desde luego necesidad no tiene. Yo creo que si alguien se tiene que mover hoy son los rivales de Simoni, no el propio Simoni, pero ahí está muy atento, fíjate, rodeado por 1, 2, 3, 4 en volandas. Le están llevando a Simoni prácticamente en una butaca, camino de las primeras unidades de ese pelotón, que tiene que empezar a moverse porque llegamos a los instantes culminantes de esta séptima etapa del Giro de Italia, camino de Montevergine di Mercogliano, final en alto, final de esta nueva jornada.
Who look after what I mentioned earlier on, the special sanctuary that was built here just after the Second World War. I'm sure you'll get a good picture of it when we get up there. It's called the Santuario di Montevergine di Mercogliano. Now it's a big mouthful, and my Italian, as you know, is not all that wonderful. But it's a military sanctuary, and there are lots of mementos and all sorts of things in there, which the people who come up here and take the funicular railway up to the top can go and have a look at. The funicular railway means you can park your car lower down in the town of Mercogliano, which the riders have just been through, and avoid this long twisting road with all its hairpin bends. It takes around about 7 or 8 minutes for the funicular railway to get up to the top. It's quite spectacular actually, because at one point it goes through a little chunk of the mountain in a tunnel that they've had to carve out to get the railway up with a fairly consistent gradient. Well, it looks like Iliano's got someone for company here, and that, I think, is one of the Formaggi riders. It is indeed. It's Giuseppe Muraglia. Well, it won't be too long at the rate they're going before these two, at least, if not the chase group itself, will be up with the two leaders. There you see that protest strip being worn by the Saeco boys, not in their red outfits today. Legalise my Cannondale is the message. It's not just Cannondales though, as I said earlier, in case you just switched on, there are a number of bikes on the market these days which, with all the ultra lightweight equipment available, come in, when fully built up, just under the UCI's minimum requirement, which is translated from kilograms into pounds. It's around about 16 pounds in weight. There are plenty of bikes available if you build them up with all the lightest of equipment that can actually be built up to come in under that weight. And the absurdity of adding lead weights to them to bring them back up to the UCI stipulated minimum, I find it absolutely absurd, I really do. I'd be interested in your views on the subject, www.eurosport.com, if you've got any views about that. Nicky Ebersol still toiling away, but I'm afraid that the Swiss man is going to find himself enveloped, if not by the chasers, well, if not by the peloton, certainly by the chasers, and then probably by the peloton too. Although in fairness, if you look at him, he's toiling away quite nicely here as the road gets quite steep here. I say quite steep, it's not monumentally steep, it's just that it goes on and on and on, and here you can see his effort has finally come to naught, and the other chasers too have been caught, and so we've got a situation now where the peloton, with around about 15, probably a little bit less than that to go now, I should imagine, probably about 14 to go. The peloton momentarily, he said guardedly, is together again. Well, that's almost 200 kilometres of the race covered. And I've just heard that Igor Astaloa, after over 5 hours of racing, has gone off the back, unable to keep up with the pace that the Saeco boys are now setting up front in this special strip that they've put on for the day. This is not the first time they've done this. And there's Igor Astaloa, the World Road Race champion, wearing the rainbow bands. And as you can see, there's the gap as the camera pans up the road to the peloton. Well, he won't be the only one, I can tell you, by the time we get to the top. It's not the steepest climb around, but a total distance of just over 17 kilometres. Average 1 in 20, but which doesn't sound all that much, does it? But you try doing it at race speed like this for 17 kilometres, which is just over 10 miles. And you realise just how hard that is to do and what makes these guys so tough, so fit. There's the pink jersey, the overall race leader, Simoni. There's the statistics of the climb. Lunghezza is the length, 17.1k. Pendenza media, that's average gradient, 5. And pendenza max, that's the maximum gradient, 1 in 10. The 1 in 10 is more or less where they are now, actually. And they're still going quite well up it. It's only a very brief section with around about 13k to go, but I think that's probably what's resulted in Igor Astaloa going off the back. never ceases to amaze me just how fit these guys are and how they can punch these pedals round. We've seen Lance Armstrong doing it on such a tiny little gear, spinning the pedals around so quickly up these gradients. It's amazing how they do it, and they do it day after day for 3 weeks. And some of the riders will ride 2 tours, 2 of the major tours, I should say. There's somebody who's brought his portable telly along so he can keep himself fully informed. And of course there have been the odd riders over the years, like Marino Lejarreta, the Spaniard, who chose to ride all 3 of the major tours. Not only did he ride them, not only did he finish them, but in 1 year, I'm absolutely sure there was 1 year when he finished in the top 10 in all 3 of them. Day after day. Remember, all these 3 major tours of France, Italy and Spain, they last for a total of 23 days, including rest days, yes, but the total duration from the first day to the last 23 days, in which they will cover well over somewhere between 2,000 to 2,500 miles each. An amazing feat of endurance. Just a reminder of the general classification as we're already going up to the 10-kilometre to go mark. Simoni and Cunego, of course, are 1-2 for the Saeco boys at the moment. Popovych is the Ukrainian rider, is in the same place as he finished overall in Milan last year when all was done and dusted. Pellizotti in 4th place, the only other man within half a minute of Simoni, thanks to Simoni and Cunego's big burst and show of strength on stage 3. And some of the other familiar names there, Sergei Honchar, he's had several overall placings in the top 10. And Garzelli, they're about a minute behind. What will they be behind, if behind at all, come the end of today? This is the second of 3 mountaintop finishes. The third one comes in the second week, towards the end of the race, I should say, the 3rd week, when we go up to Bormio. That's on stage 18, May the 28th. That's a much shorter climb than this one, but it's a lot steeper. It's only 9.9 kilometres, that one, but it averages 7.5%. Well, that's a pretty tall order, even though it's only 9.9k. 10 miles is, what, 6.2 miles? A little over 6 miles, that one, up to Bormio. And that includes the Gavia, and then there's the Mortirolo the next day, which is being dedicated this year to the late Marco Pantani. Well, going round another of these hairpins, this is a series of hairpins all the way up to the top. If we do get an aerial overview from a greater distance, I'm not sure we will, you will see it's just like looking down onto Alpe d'Huez, except that the gradient is not quite as steep, it has to be said. The average gradient here, just 5%. Alpe d'Huez is a little steeper than that, as I'm sure you know. And the lower part here is very much protected from the sun by the trees. Well, a little bit later than normal because we had trouble getting through it a little earlier, as we just see a bit of a problem there for Gerhard Trampusch, the Austrian in the Acqua Sapone team. We've managed to get hold of Christy Anderson, who's no doubt chafing at the bit to say things, and there's such a lot to talk about. I'm not sure we'll squeeze it all in because there's the withdrawal. We've got the withdrawal of Mario Cipollini. We've got the protest from Saeco. Where do we start as we see a picture of Stefano Garzelli? Hello, and I'm relieved to hear that we've got you on the end of the line, Christy. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah, it's been kind of crazy here, so I haven't been able to get in front of a TV screen, so I'm not sure exactly what's happening in the course, but I can tell you what it was like at the start.
Okay, well, did you have time to talk to anybody this morning?
I've spoken a bit to the Landbouwkrediet team. I've been asking basically what's happening with Ferrara and Pagliarini in the last couple of stages. We haven't seen either of them performing at all, and basically they just don't have the legs at the moment. So that was a bit disappointing. But today it's certainly going to be interesting to see how Saeco is going to stack up, and really with what attitude Simoni and Cunego are going to go at this hill.
Yeah, did you, you were at the start this morning, you've probably seen all about this protest, the Saeco team wearing these black and white jerseys and staging this Legalise My Cannondale protest here today.
Well, actually, this is the second time I've seen this protest. This happened at the Tour de France last year as well. It's a wonderful marketing ploy by Cannondale, and they are geniuses at it. In fact, Cannondale is very much responsible for creating the image of Cipollini in its full flight, too, because they were the ones who first embraced doing custom-made frames and custom paint jobs, and this whole thing about the weight of Simoni's bike is just brilliant. And they launched this campaign at the Tour de France last year. It looks like now they must have had enough success with it that they're doing it again this year. But it's not really much of a protest. It's more a marketing ploy. But it is interesting, and certainly he loves attention that it creates, and they don't mind. Cannondale pays the fines, so they'll wear what they wear.
Yeah, and it's like you say, it's probably well worth their while. We're seeing Igor Pugacci of the Denardi team and Sella from Ceramiche having a little bit of a spurt off the front here, but all the big boys are gathering to the front. Sadly, though, no Mario Cipollini. We saw what happened this morning. He did not come to the line, and we've heard the quotes from him about his injuries. Although this wouldn't have been his day anyway, we were hoping that he might have another go at the Fassa Bortolo boys before this race was over. Sad, isn't it, that he's gone?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, whenever Mario leaves the race, the big hole is in his place that nobody else can fill, because he's just such an interesting character. It would have been great to see him take a stage after that nasty crash, just so that he could have gone out at least on a good note, because this is possibly his last Giro de Italia. So it would have been nice to also put that little that benchmark one stage higher in the most stage wins ever. He's got 42. It would be nice to see it a little bit higher. But be that as it may, I look to see some other new faces today come into the fore, like Pellizotti or Figueras. I look to see them looking for a stage.
You're not going to believe this, because you haven't got a television screen in front of you, and I have. And Figueras has just gone on the attack. As you said that, the Ceramiche rider has just burst out of the peloton and done exactly what you just said.
Well, you know, Figueras is famous for having one bad day in every tour, so I think he's recognized this himself. He's going to go for stage wins. He's not going for a GC position, I don't believe, in this tour. Sure, if he's in the top 10, he'll try to maintain that. But he'll be going for a stage, and this is a perfect stage for him.
Well,
on a good day, he can climb with the best.
He's been caught very quickly by Simoni and Garzelli, and Simoni is now at the front. So I think we'd better carry on with the commentary and say thanks very much for your comments for the moment, Christy. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow, and we'll watch the rest of this race with great interest now, because it seems to be all billowing up into a great climax. Talk to you again tomorrow. Well, thanks for that, Christy. Well, you probably saw what was happening on one of the hairpins there. Figueras having a go, a counter-attack from Simoni, Garzelli also going after him, and now, as you can see, we've got Garzelli right on the wheel of Simoni. One of the Ceramiches, I think that's still Figueras, but here we go again. Goodness me, no, that's Figueras having another go, and straight after him goes Cunego. Now watch Cunego, remember that he's not in the familiar red, so Cunego now going up with Figueras, and they've just opened up a little bit of a gap here. So it's all changing very quickly from one moment to another. And we're going to have to keep our eyes peeled here. Seems strange to see Cunego and the rest in these odd-coloured strips today. But that's Damiano Cunego lying second on the general classification. Well, Figueras, of course, has a very good pedigree here, the former world under-23 road race champion. As we go back to some of the Gerolsteiners, who are a little bit further back in the field. That looks like Thomas Ziegler, the German. As we go back up front, and we're getting quite high on this climb now. Still no counter move from Simoni. Clearly, Figueras is considered a danger man by the Saeco outfit, and it's Cunego who's launched the counter attack and is sitting on his wheel. I'm not so sure that we'll see Cunego doing any of the work here. I'm sure that for the moment anyway, he will be quite happy to just sit there and take pace from Figueras. David Rebellin just finding it hard to keep up with the guys at the front for the moment. Well, Rebellin in great form this spring, but he's never really performed enormously well in stage races. He's more a one-day man, Rebellin, or a short 5-day stage race rider. Well, now you see that the gap has been closed, thanks due to the Vinny Calderola boys. Steve Zampieri, the Swiss rider, number 188, coming to join the fun up front. And still the pace is frantic here. So Zampieri now from Figueras. Simoni is right there, and right behind Simoni, his teammate Cunego, and also right on the inside in the yellow, don't forget the familiar figure of Stefano Garzelli. Well, this group much reduced now, still probably, what, 20-30 riders? Rebellin just toiling a little. The pace is very, very hot. I doubt if there's more than 20 riders in this lead group now. The rest have been blown to smithereens as we get higher up the slopes. Still under the trees. Warm weather today, temperatures nice and warm, even as they go up to the summit, which lies 4,100 feet above sea level at Montevergine di Mercogliano. Now there you see Rebellin really finding it hard to stay with that lead group now. He's going to lose a bit of time. I don't think he's going to get back to them. The pure climbers are forcing the pace at the front here. Zampieri is doing a tremendous job for Garzelli here. 5 kilometres to go, that's all. They've soon got to the upper reaches of this climb. I've lost count of how many hairpin bends they've got. There's about 22 or 23 hairpin bends to go around here, a similar number to those that we shall be seeing in the Tour de France in July up Alpe d'Huez, where this year, for the very first time in the history of climbing up Alpe d'Huez, it is not the finish of a road race stage. It is an individual mountain time trial. There's Pavel Tonkov coming up to join one of his teammates, Zampieri. So Tonkov now at the front, leading the way in this select little group of around about 20 riders. And look at the distance, it might be a couple of dozen. Look at the distance, though, that this select group has put between themselves and the rest of this field. 161 riders starting this morning, 3 non-starters. Sadly, no Mario Cipollini and his Dominic Vacanzi teammate Andrus Aug, having been operated on last night for a cracked pelvis, amongst his other injuries. He's also cracked a collarbone, and he's got a compound fracture of one of his fingers. I suppose the finger is probably the least of his problems, really. But Andrus Aug taking a really nasty smash yesterday, just after he'd crossed the finish line, and joining his teammate Mario Cipollini on the DNS list this morning. Also, Andrej Sozenka, the Czech who rides for Acqua Sapone, also, he is not in the field anymore. So, higher up the climb, and it's now Pavel Tonkov taking up pole position at the front. Simoni right up there, Cunego also, Garzelli also. This really is becoming a very select group of riders up front. Andrea Noe is also there for Alessio Bianchi, riding in about 4th or 5th place. He's twice finished just a place off the podium, Noe, in 2000, and also last year finished in 4th place. And I'm just hearing that Garata has been dropped. Well, he was one of the riders for Lampre, who was hopefully for them going to be one of the challengers for the overall. He did finish 4th a couple of years ago, but I've just heard that he has found himself dropped. Tonkov still looking good, a near veteran now. It's 8 years since he was the winner of this race, but he really is holding a very good pace on the front here, just ahead of the race leader on overall classification, Simoni. Right behind Simoni, the young pretender, Cunego. And I'm not quite sure what Tonkov was gesticulating for there. Only he will know that. Not sure what all that was about. But now you see we're up above the tree line, and the riders now out in the glorious sunshine that we have here today, midway through this month of May. Still several more hairpin bends to go round, though, before these riders reach the finish. And here you see yet another of them. Upwards, ever upwards. And the pace really is amazing for this lead group. They are setting such a frantic pace. Three kilometres to go, and it looks like Figueras is once again forcing the pace. He's had a couple of digs lower down, and it's once again Cunego going after him. Figueras really showing the Saeco boys that he is not going to be outdone, but Tonkov once again seeking to control this race for Vinny Calderola. Tonkov coming back and saying, look fellas, we're controlling this, not you. My man Garzelli wants to be right up there at the finish. You can see the yellow jersey of Garzelli in around about 4th or 5th place. At the back of affairs, one or two of the riders beginning to find it a little bit hard. That's one of the Sonia Duvals, David Canada, just struggling to stay in touch. Tonkov has been a revelation here, back to form and looking very, very good. This is the group which contains the overall race leader, Simoni. Cunego right on Tonkov's wheel. Figueras in the orange jersey in 3rd place. The pink jersey, the Maglia Rosa, just behind his teammate Cunego. Simoni in 4th place as Tonkov swings off. Now then, is that Tonkov's effort done and dusted? It looks as though it may well be. He knows that his teammate Garzelli is in a great position here, but remember what happened 4 days ago up Corne alle Scale. Saeco did the 1-2 on everybody. Cunego went with about 3k to go, and Simoni then went after him. Figueras doesn't want that to happen again. Figueras is really piling it on here. He's doing a tremendous job, and this group, which I think has diminished even further now, is finding it very hard to stay with the pace being set. Figueras having a great day in the mountains for Ceramic Panaria. Two kilometres to go to the finish, as once again the riders find themselves underneath the trees momentarily. Figueras hurtling out of this latest hairpin bend, but Simoni looks so relaxed on his wheel, and so too does Cunego. Garzelli also managing to match the pace behind Figueras. Look at the face of Figueras as he really is going all out to try and diminish this group as much as he possibly can. Well, he's not succeeded in breaking anybody as they go round yet another of these hairpin bends. Figueras has got Simoni right there. Garzelli is right there too. Damiano Cunego in such good form this season. A stage winner earlier on the flatter lands. Garzelli really biting the bullet there, look. Well, there's still a number of riders who could win this stage here. Simoni going on the attack, and Simoni not even waiting for Cunego to do what he did up Corno alle Scale. And it's Garzelli who's going after him. A big burst of speed there from the pink jersey, but they've not succeeded in breaking this group. They're still up there. Garzelli gritting his teeth and hanging on in there. Simoni, that was a good effort from the race leader to try and split this group still further. Still more hairpin bends to go before they get to the checkered flag at the top of the climb. They'll go under the red kite, 1 kilometre to go. They'll go under the funicular railway, which you might just see a sight of at around about that point. And there are just 2 more bends to go then, one with around 700 metres to go and one with around about 400 metres to go. And then it's pretty well straightish up to the finishing line, with the barriers, of course, protecting the riders from any members of the public. As we now see Eddie Mazzolini for Saeco coming to the fore. That must have been the 2K to go sign. So Mazzolini now assisting Messrs Simoni and Cunego for Saeco. Well, in fact, that was the red kite, and I didn't see the red kite actually hanging down from that barrier. So we are now into the last 1,000 meters of this stage, and still no sign of who's going to win this stage. The meters to go signs are being passed. Well, I didn't see the red kite because it clearly wasn't, and I did see some meters to go signs. We must have been seeing something from up the road, because that was in fact 2 to go. They haven't been past the red kite yet. I'm looking at those signs which are saying meters to go. I haven't seen the red kite, but these riders are still going round sharp corners, and that tells me that they haven't quite got to the finishing straight yet. In fact, this must be the finishing straight. It is indeed the finishing straight. And Figueras is going. My apologies for the confusion. This is Figueras going, but here comes Cunego now. Cunego going for the stage win. Figueras has sold himself out and he's not got it. And Cunego is going to take this from maybe one of the Français des Jeux riding. It'll be Philippe Gilbert taking second prize. Cunego from Gilbert, and it looked to me as though it may well have been in third place. I suspect Andrea Noe will get confirmation of that in just a moment, but I think it was Cunego, Gilbert and Noe. My apologies if I got the red kite mixed up. I didn't see it under that last banner, which is why I thought we'd still got 2 to go, but that was indeed the red cat banner. Where was the red kite? I didn't spot it. Anyway, Cunego, Gilbert and Noe by my calculations, and Simoni quite happy to be right up there, making sure he didn't lose too much time. He will surely hang on to the position right at the front of affairs, but just looking at the general classification, if Cunego gets his stage win confirmed, and there we see, by the way, what I told you about earlier, this beautiful building that was actually built as the sanctuary for the Montevergine di Mercagliano just after the Second World War, and it is a military memorial place for those people who were involved in the Second World War. However, just looking at my calculations, assuming that Simoni finished out of the first 3, but I'm positive he did, then Cunego, by virtue of his stage victory, if that is confirmed, will take over the overall race leadership, because he will get 20 seconds. Gilbert will get 12 if these positions are confirmed. And if it's Noe confirmed in third place, then he gets 8 seconds. And can't see who that is being tended. May well be Figueras. No, it's not. I think that's actually Gilbert, who gave an almighty effort in the closing stages. This young man from Français des Jeux, Philippe Gilbert, who's being talked about as one of the future French stars. He won a stage in the Tour Down Under back in January. He's still only 21 years of age. And if it is confirmed that that is Philippe Gilbert, I didn't get a clear shot of him as he was crossing the line. I just spotted the Français des Jeux jersey, and it did look as though it was Gilbert to me. But we're just waiting for confirmation of the first 3, and there you see Cunego. It was Brad McGee, my goodness me. Well, I'll have to apologise and hold my hands up, because I didn't see that it was Brad McGee. You couldn't see the picture there of the Français des Jeux jersey coming up as Cunego made his race-winning effort. Cunego takes the stage, but it was incredibly Brad McGee for Français des Jeux and not Philippe Gilbert, who took the second place. Well, that has to be put down as an astonishing piece of climbing by Brad McGee. Well, his Marc Madio, his director sportif, did actually say, and there you see the head down, so it was difficult to identify him there as he crossed the line. His director sportif did say the other day, watch Brad McGee, his climbing has improved, he can climb, and I think that any questions there might be about Brad McGee's climbing abilities have clearly been answered here today. Well, that is absolutely staggering. Pellizotti it was, Noe down in 8th place, Pellizotti who got 3rd place, but with Simoni outside the first 3, not getting any bonus seconds, Cunego must surely be now the new race leader after his teammate Simoni has had 4 days in pink. Well, all I can say is what an astonishing performance by Brad McGee. And there is confirmation, as you see the Française des Jeux jersey. That's the shot we had coming over the finish line. The Française des Jeux jersey coming in 2nd place, ahead, just behind Cunego. And Pellizotti getting in ahead of Noe, who I thought would be favourite for a place here today, Andrea Noe, but Pellizotti, don't forget, was 8th overall by the time the race was done and dusted in Milan nearly 12 months ago now, so not too surprising that Pellizotti was able to put in a good performance at the finish here today. So, Cunego, McGee and Pellizotti, the 1-2-3, not quite the 1-2-3 that we envisaged, and that's Cunego's 2nd stage victory of this Tour of Italy. Remember that he had a very, very good win a few days back now. Let's not forget, he won in Pontremoli ahead of McGee and Morini on that day, but of course that was a sprinter stage. Now, that's absolutely amazing that Messrs Cunego and McGee can finish 1-2 on a flat stage, and then, remarkably, a few days later, finish 1-2 in a mountaintop finish. That is almost bizarre and unreal, but it's happened, and it's happened here in this Tour of Italy, here at Montevergine di Mercogliano, as we get another shot of this beautiful sanctuary at the top of the mountain, and people can come up here and be taken around on a conducted tour and see the relics and the mementos of the Second World War. Many heroes on all sides are commemorated here. Well worth a trip, and you don't have to come by road. You can park your car in the town down in Mercogliano itself, which you saw the race going through earlier, and you can take the funicular railway, which brings you to within around about, I think, 400 or 500 meters, yards if you wish, of the sanctuary, just a little bit lower down. In fact, not far short of the finish line, around about 400 or 500 yards short of the finish line. I thought we might get a shot of the funicular railway, but it's a little bit lower down than that. You've got to walk the last few hundred yards up from the top of the funicular railway to get to where the finish line is here, which in turn is just a couple of 100 meters short, as you can see, of the sanctuary here. Nice place to come during the summertime. As I've said before, lots of the Italians who live on either side of the Apennines, they can enjoy the beaches during the hot summers, and then if they want to cool down, it's just a short little trip up on either side, either west or east of the Italian country, and enjoy the cool of the mountains. And so then, to the victory podium, and to Damiano Cunego, his 2nd stage victory then, and a representative of the sanctuary coming to do the honours on the podium and congratulate this young man, back in the Saeco red, by the way, as you see on the podium, as opposed to the colours that they've all been wearing today, with the exception, of course, of their team leader Gilberto Simoni, who remembered to respect the race, and he did indeed wear the pink jersey. And the inevitable bottle of champagne, which cameramen the world over at sporting events really love. When he can get the top off. Oh, come on, I'm sure you've got the energy to get the top off. This race, 5 hours, 26 minutes and 25 seconds, incidentally. finishing well ahead of schedule. I'm not too surprised. The 6-man break went at a great rate of knots, and averaging, after the first 4 hours of racing, they were still averaging over 42 kilometres an hour. And that he's having real trouble getting this cork out, isn't he? Give it another shake. If you can't, then just take it home and enjoy it later on with your friends and family. He's put so much energy into climbing the mountain, he can't get the cork out of the bottle. This is very embarrassing. Gosh, he's shaking it up so much, it'll almost explode. Well, whilst Damiano Cunego is struggling with that cork, let me tell you that tomorrow's stage is a little bit flat. Oh, he's finally made it. We're going from Schifoni Valle Piana, which is down in the valley bottom again tomorrow, to Policoro, which is almost at the southern part of the country. It's a distance of 214 kilometres, 133 miles, which is exactly the same distance as today's stage, as it happens. And let me just tell you that tomorrow's coverage here on Eurosport International will start at 4:15 Central European Time. That's 3:15 in the UK. I mention International, Eurosport International, because on British, it's 5:30 British time on British Eurosport for stage 8 of the Giro d'Italia. So, well done to Signor Cunego for winning the stage, to Messrs McGee and Pellizotti for finishing in 2nd and 3rd places. I hope that you'll enjoy tomorrow's stage of the Tour of Italy with me, Mike Smith. Till then, goodbye.